Hey everyone. A lot of times as B2B marketers, we struggle with how to generate demand for our product or service and also generate leads. So today we're going to talk about a demand generation strategy that you can execute that will not only generate demand, but also leads and directly correlate marketing with sales. Step one of this demand generation strategy is to generate a very targeted list. Now, this list that you're going to use should reflect your ideal customer profile and should be accessible. So you want to be able to get all the companies, let's say, who share some type of characteristic. For this example, we're going to use angellist.co as our source of information, and we're going to find all the companies who have raised Series C funding. So for Directive Consulting, Series C funded companies are very likely to use our services because we have a high track record with B2B SaaS firms. So we know that this is our target market, that we can gather the list, and that the list is a fit for what we sell. Step two is you need to find a data point, something of value that you can compare all the companies on your list by. For us, we wanted to look at the domain authority of all the Series C funded companies so that we could compare them to each other, and then we could make recommendations. Now for you, maybe it's not domain authority, maybe it's site speed, maybe it's their security, maybe it's their content, maybe it's the CMS they use, maybe it's the ERP they use. You can use tools like Datanize, BuiltWith, and Clearbit to start to get better information around what products or software the people on your list are using. Remember, just can be any data point that's correlated to your services. Now think about your data points and which ones are important to the products you deliver. We have our list, we've got our data point. Now we need all the contact info for two people at the company at least. The first person is the person who's responsible for the data that you're reporting on. In other words, we would want to find the digital marketing manager at these companies or the demand generation manager at these companies who we know is oftentimes responsible for digital or website related marketing. Now that you have that person, you want to find a second person. Now the second person you want to find is more of the decision maker at that company. It might be, in our case, the VP of marketing or the CMO. In your case, it might be the CIO or the CTO. Whoever that person is, you want to have two sets of data points. You want the email for the person who does what's related to what you're reporting on, and the person who makes the decision for your sales team. Step four, for gathering that data, we like to use virtual assistants. You can simply go onto Upwork, which is our favorite, and create a scoped out project. I would recommend you don't use hourly, but instead use project rates, and that'll help you get a very affordable and clear, concise scope of services. And I would also encourage you to find the contact info for the first 5 people before giving it to the VA and record yourself. That'll allow the virtual assistant to be much more successful and follow your standard or system of procedure. We've got our list, we've decided our data point, we have the contact info. Now we need to actually get all that data, right? We need to put it all into one CSV file. So you should have account name, contacts at account, and the data point. Once you have all your data, it's time for step 5. Now in step 5, what you're gonna wanna do is make this data set beautiful. You're gonna wanna have a really nice, well-designed PDF of all your data. So maybe instead of having the company name, you use their logo, and you have a color scheme, and it's done well, right? You've organized your data, and you've put it in a nice PDF format. You can also have it in Excel format or raw data if you want people to have access to the data to do their own assumptions or do their own calculations. Step 6, you're gonna do a very concise write-up. So you're gonna turn this data set into a blog post, and you're gonna have it based on whatever that data is about. So for us, it was ranking Series C funded firms by their domain authority and what we learned. So not only do you want your data set, but you wanna draw conclusions from your data. You want to talk about your hypothesis that you were hoping to see from your data. You're going to want to look at next steps and recommendations based on what you found. And you're going to want to make a very actionable blog post that also has a gated PDF download, which can turn into leads. Step 7 is the fun part. For step 7, what you're going to do now is you're going to take all those contacts that you gathered and use a tool like outreach.io or Pitchbox or BuzzStream or something that allows you to build email cadences. Now what you're going to want to do is send that email to 3 people. One person is the decision maker. The other person is the person actually working on the data, right? And then the last person, the third person, you're going to CC is your sales rep. And then what you're going to do is email a nice email to them, say, hi, X, Y, and Z. We just did a data set for you. And we compared you to all the other companies that you're competing against. And we found X, Y, and Z from our data. Now we have 2 specific recommendations that we'd love to explain to you based on our findings. Is there a time next week that works well for you? So what you're now doing is you're taking the amazing piece of content, the data set you used, you're plotting the X company you're talking to against Y company, and then providing Z as the recommendations and gating those recommendations to the sales rep so that they have something to follow up on and can generate a lead from your piece. Now, lastly is step 8. In step 8, you can go back to the demand side of this, right? So we have our data, we have our contact people, we have our blog post, we've done our direct outreach. Now we want to do, on our final step, really good promotion of the overall blog post to all the other people who might fit our ideal customer persona but aren't Series C funded. So let's just talk about B2B SaaS companies. Maybe you've done Series B or Series A funding. And we're going to want to build out really targeted promotion on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can test those audiences and see what does best for you. But now we're going to directly promote this content piece to the broader market and allow our research to generate demand. Now, hopefully, with this 8-step process, you have a simple and concise way to generate demand and leads for your B2B company. Feel free to subscribe to the video and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your input. Thanks.